Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, Malti. We now have the Zoroastrian prayer by Freni.
Thank you. Shri Pak Dadar Avramazdani Madad Hojo Ji. Gorje Kore Avajiad, Pak of Shune Shahe Faredun, Vapak Beram Yazet Panabad, Ham Jartosh Ti Madadgar, Ham Papi Negedar, of Shune Shahe Faredun, Vapak Behram Yazet Madadgar. Yatha Ahu Vairyo, Yatha Ratush, Ashat Chithacha, Vanghe Ush, Dazdau Maningo, Shaute Nanam, Angyus Mazdai, Shatrem Chai, Ahurai Aim, Drigobyo Dadatavastarahem, Yatha Ahu Veryo, Yatha Ratush, Ashat Chithacha, Vanghe Ush, Dazdau Maningo, Shaute Nanam, Angyus Mazdai, Shatrem Chai, Ahurai, Aim, Drigobyo Dadatavastarahem, Ashem Vahu, Vahishtam Basti, Usta Asti, Usta Ahmai, Yadeshai, Vahishtai Ashem, Sarosh Yazadni Pana Hojoji. Thank you.
Thank you, Freni. We now have the Christian prayer by Deepti. Deepti?
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us today our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not unto temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen.
Thank you, Deepti. We now have the Sikh prayer by Gulu Advani.
Onkar Satnam Karta Purkh Nirbhav Nirvair Akal Murat Ajoni Saibang Gur Prasad Jap Ad Sach Jugad Sach Hai bhi Sach Nanak ho se bhi Sach सोचे सोच न होवई जे सोचे लखवार चुपे चुप न होवई जे लाए रहा लिवतार भुखिया भुख न उतरी जे बन्ना पुरिया भार सहस्याणा पालक होवई त इक न चले नाल किव सचियारा होइए किव कूरे टुटे पाल हुक्म रजाई चलना नानक लिखिया नाल वाहिगुरु जी दा खालसा वाहिगुरु जी दी फतेह बोले सो निहाल सत श्री अकाल.
Gulu. And now I request Malati to kindly introduce our esteemed speaker, Dr. Renuka.
Right. Good evening, Renuka. Good evening, participants. I'll now introduce you to the participants, many of whom, may, as Sajani earlier said, may already be knowing you. Dr. Renuka Anvekar is a doctor who has graduated from the Government College of Ayurvedic Science, Bangalore, and this she did with distinction. She has a diploma in counseling, a diploma in Vastu Shastra, and a yoga teacher's certificate, and is also a certified health coach from the Californian Institute of Integral Medicine. She is now into a diploma course in Bhagavad Gita. She runs programs called a welcome home baby for moms, and my smart baby, that is for 0 to 4 year babies. That's very interesting. She's a guest faculty for the Indiranagar Teachers Training course of, of KYM. Also, she is on the advisory board for a number of schools, besides giving TV shows and radio talks on early learning and development of the growing brain. She has also ventured into areas of early learning and given talks on how to make your baby a genius. Also, she is adept in public speaking on topics like health, early learning, yoga, spirituality, and motivation. She has over 3 decades of experience with preschools as a doctor, as a counselor, and a teacher. At the Bhishma School of Indic Studies, she's into studying Upanishads and also other courses. She is studying the Sharda Lipi, which is actually an ancient script from Kashmir and also from the Indic yogic studies. Vedic mantra chanting and Vedic mantras are on her latest learning fields. Wow, that's really awesome because such a multifaceted person and you've achieved so much. And I'm sure you're doing a lot to help people also all around with all the courses you've done. And I'm sure your counseling must be really wonderful. So now over to Sajani, and then Sajani will put Dr. Renuka on, and she will be talking on the concept of aging in Ayurveda today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And now it's over to you, Dr. Renuka, and we look forward to this because we all are aging and we would like to get some really good tips from you. So it's over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, and thank you. At the outset, I'd like to thank Mrs. Shamla Ganesh because she was the one who put me on to Sajani. And let me start with a small prayer to Dhanvantri. Please pay attention to the penultimate line of this shloka. I'll recall your memory towards that line as I continue my talk. Om Namami Dhanvantarim Adidevam Surasurairvandita Padapadmam Loke Jara Mrityubhaya Mrityunasham Dataramisham Vividhaushadinam. The meaning of this prayer is that, O Lord Dhanvantri, I bow down to you. You are the person who is going to take us away from the fear of pain, old age, and death. This word jara in Sanskritam means loosening up, the source. If you go to the word jara and we look at the source of the word jara, it means loosening up of the system. Any loosening that takes place shows that that object is deteriorating. And now, this is an inevitable process. You start aging from the time conception happens. If you look at it, you are so many days older, you're so many months older in utero. When you come outside, you're aging. Every minute as I'm talking, I'm aging. So this is something inevitable in this world of time and space. In this reality, aging is a given. You cannot do anything about it. Now, Ayurveda is one of those very beautiful sciences. I'm sure all of you know about the 4 Vedas, the Rigveda, the Yajurveda, the Samaveda, and the Atharvaveda. And Ayurveda happens to be an Upaveda of the Rigveda. So when I say Ayurveda is Upaveda, it is an offshoot of the Rigveda. It means that it follows the same pattern of whatever is taught in the Rigveda, the mantras, the way it goes around. And the tenets that have been put forward is totally human centric to keep mankind healthy, happy. And the actual definition of the word Ayurveda, generally they say science of life. You cannot just call it science of life without giving it another beautiful explanation. It says even the measurement of the quality of your life is Ayurveda, comes under the purview of Ayurveda. It doesn't mean that I'm living a healthy life. So being disease free is not being healthy. It comes under a lot of other areas also. And I should tell you that in Ayurveda, we have got three great books called Brihatrayi. These are the great sages, Charaka, Sushruta, and Vagbhata. Charaka is the person who's written, he's collected, compiled the treatise on medicine. Sushruta is the person who has compiled the treatise on surgery, which was very, very advanced in those days. Vagbhata is from down south. He is from Kerala, and he knew that people cannot spend a lifetime reading about Charaka and Sushruta, so he compiled both of them and called a book and made a book called Ashtanga Hridayam, the heart of the 8 angas. Ashtanga in Ayurveda also we have got 8 angas, just like how we have it in Ashtanga Yoga. Ashtanga Ayurveda is very beautifully classified. We have got medicine, pediatrics, we have got toxicology, as in, poison and other things. We have got head and neck, ENT. We have got surgery. We have got jara, which is very, very particular in Ayurveda. And you have something called Vajikarana. Jara, this aspect is geriatrics, which is given a complete section in Charaka, Sushruta, and Vagbhata. Nowhere we actually find out, because even now I have a diploma in allopathic medicine also from Bangalore Medical College. So many a time, a lot of cases come to me without knowing the physiological processes, or blindly they give the same dosage even to a geriatric patient, and the patient comes with a lot of deteriorated side effects, I should say. This is what has happened in my 3 decades of practice. I have seen it is just like pediatrics. You cannot give the general medication that you give to a normal person to an elderly person who is aging. This is the root cause, and this is why jara is considered a separate section in Ayurveda. And this is how in Ayurveda we go about it. In order to take you forward on this journey, I would like to introduce you. I don't know if many of you would have known about these things. We talk about Vata, Pitta, and Kapha, the 3 humors in the human body. Many think that Vata means the wind that is passed or the belching that happens. Pitta is that gross bile that is ejected from the gallbladder. And Kapha is what you see in the lungs and what comes out when you're having a cold or a cough. Yes, in the gross form, it is so. But in the subtle form, it doesn't behave as a gross material. It actually shows out some qualities that it exhibits in the human body. These group of qualities we classify as Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And as you know, if you people have got a background of studying Vedas, Vedic mantras, or any science for that matter, which comes from ancient, our Indian Hindu tradition, you will notice that our rishis and munis were great scientists, and they were great at classification. Anything they would classify and put it together. So in the same way, see, any science to start, for any science to grow, we need to have a basic foundation. It is built upon something. So in this background, Ayurveda stands on a theory called Pancha Mahabharatik theory. So and the next thing is, you've got a macrocosm and the microcosm, and both of them are connected. Whatever you see in the macrocosm, you see in the microcosm, human beings being the microcosm and the external universe being the macrocosm. So when you talk about the Pancha Mahabhutas, we have got the ether, that is Akasha, Vayu, that is wind, that sometimes you can see it in movement, and then you have got the Agni, and then you've got Jala, and then you've got Prithvi. Agni is the fire, Jala is the water, and Prithvi is the earth element. And this is all these 5 elements exhibit different kind of gunas or qualities, and those are incorporated, and then we bring it down to 3 components of the body called Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So these are the three bodily humors, we call them. Next, I come to something called the seven tissues. Like even the human body, when we study physiology, you study about the cells in the heart, smooth muscle, the fibers, muscles in the cells are different. And then you've got different smooth muscle and the cardiac muscle, and it's different in a different area. The liver tissue is different. The things in the spleen is different, and these are in the kidneys. It is the glomerulus and all those things go into the formation. In the same manner, Ayurveda, we have got something called Dhatus. Dharanat Dhatu. Those that support the human body is called a Dhatu. It starts with something called Rasadhatu. That precedes and goes on into the Rakta, the blood. And that takes on to the Mamsa, that is the flesh, that is the muscles and other things. And after that, it comes to the Medas or the fat. And after that comes the bones. And then it is the final component is the reproductive semen in the males, and after that there is something called ojas. So all this happens is there in every human being. And how does the development of each of these take place? At birth we are endowed with all the seven of them, and the growth of this should happen by an external agency. Now what is that external agency? We know that in the Pancha Mahabharatik theory, whatever you feed that particular element is going to enter that element and enrich that element in the human body. Now, Akasha element, you can find the Akasha in the ear cavity. Wherever there is space, you can have Akasha. Vayu, we have got specific areas in the human body that will be in the bowels, the thighs, the long bones. They are the space for the Vata. And the Kapha is something that actually holds these components together. It maintains the sturdiness and the compositeness of the body. It does not allow it to deteriorate. It tries and keeps the compactness of the human body. So Vata, we could say that it has got all the movement, and our nervous system and electrical activity that happens as a result of the Vata being in its normalcy in the human body. The Pitta comes under the metabolic or the hormones and the digestion, and all these things come under the Pitta. And the Kapha is what keeps the compactness of the body. So next, after this concept, after I've given you this concept, I'd like to take you to something called Prakriti or bodily constitution. If you want to understand Prakriti in like if I want to give a like modern day example, we have seen this corona has affected a lot of people. No two persons got the same symptoms. No two persons followed the same line of disease. No two people respond to the same line of treatment. So each one of us was different. Now, what was it that made us different? So in Ayurveda, we call it a specific Prakriti. Each one is endowed with a specific Prakriti, which is decided at the time of conception. So we are all made up of the three doshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. In the balanced state, it is wonderful. We'll have all our healthy bodily movements and our growth and deterioration all happening in tandem in a normal manner. So when this is happening, we call this a sama prakriti, where everything is healthy, they age well, everything happens in the right way. The life goes on very healthily. They don't have to bother much. When we talk about dual prakritis, we call Vata Pitta is there. It doesn't mean that the other is not there at all. All of them are there, but we call that, like two of them are on the higher shelf, the next one is on the lower shelf. So when I put everybody on a scale, when the patient walks in, I'll be able to tell whether they are a Vata Pitta Prakriti or a Pitta Kapha Prakriti or a Vata Kapha Prakriti. That comes with experience, and of course we have handled a lot of cases, so we would know how to which bracket to put them in. So this makes us, it helps us to treat the patient in the right manner with the right medications, because Ayurveda's compendium is very, very huge, and the number of medicines that we have, we can't even count. For a simple fever, we may have hundreds of medicines, because we decide whether the person has got a kapha pitta kind of a cold or a kapha vata kapha kind of a cold. It's not like a paracetamol for everybody. We have got different medicines for different kind of fevers too that we have. So this comes under the concept of Prakriti. And next after that, I come to something called a Dinacharya and Rutucharya. We are all time bound and we have to live in this external universe and make peace with the seasons. Now we are seeing what's happening outside. So what is a natural body tendency? It asks for hot tea and budgies. This is that craving that comes because of the cold weather outside. This is the body's intelligence that makes us to ask for certain kind of foods. And as I told you, the growth of the body, everything. See, I generally give this example. We've got Pancha Mahabhutas, which are external and internal. The Akasha, the ozone layer is polluted. We have got Vayu, the external air is polluted. Water pollution is there. The earth contaminated with so much of chemicals, and we don't allow the earth to replenish itself. Mother earth is going down day by day because of the practices that we have. Water to affluents into it, so we are facing the this one of pollution in the water. Now the only thing that is left unpolluted is the fire. Whether it occurs in Australia as a bushfire or in India or in the Amazon or wherever, it is just going to burn down the forest. The same element of fire is there in us also, which we call Jatharagni. This is the one that is present in our, we call it the gastrium. We call it because that is the area where the gastric juices and other things up to the duodenum and the ileum also, because till there you have got undigested matter. The bile juice is also secreted into the duodenum and it goes up to the ileum. So we have got these two areas where the Agni is present in the human body. It doesn't mean that it is not existent in any other. According to our theory, there is an Agni in every dhatu, every tissue, which will convert the food that we eat into blood, into muscle, into the bones, into the medas, and ultimately into the reproductive portions of our body. That is why generally when children come to me with PCOS, very young children are nowadays coming with this PCOS, we start with the first with the diet. When the diet is corrected, all the rest is correct. So this is the way we tackle the all through the, I'm just giving you a purview of how Ayurveda functions and why jara and what is the thing that happens there. Okay, I talked to you about dinacharya. It is a beautiful methodology which every human being has to follow from sunrise to sunset till we go to sleep. That is dependent upon the season that is there outside. So how we go about it, every season has got its own seasonal intelligence that nature brings out with its vegetables and other things. We have got a transformation within us that is happening with the Agni and the other aspects of our human body depending on our Prakriti. Depending upon the Prakriti and what is happening outside, we will guide this persons to have that kind of food in certain seasons. So you all know that the seasons are, in Ayurveda, we've got two major things, that is Adana Kala and Visarga Kala, first 6 months and second 6 months, just like Dakshinayan and Uttarayan, what we call. So the Dakshinayan area is something where you kind of lose out on your energy because summer is coming, there's depletion happening, and the Uttarayan time is the Uttarayan time is the actually depletion, and the other one, in the middle, Dakshinayan, is the one where your energy actually builds up. So the November, December is the season where certain doshas become predominant. All the seasons have got certain doshas which become predominant. Now, just like how the year is ending and the leaves are all falling and autumn is coming, winter is bleak, and you see snow in many places, you don't see growth. The same time, Vata increase is also seen in the human body. Now, this period of winter is also associated with Jara, the old age which is happening. I said it's inevitable, it's cyclical, it has to happen. Without the old age coming out, without this December coming, there is no spring happening. You cannot see Vasant Rutu, Chaitra and Vasant, which is coming in Vasant Rutu. You cannot see Chaitra, you cannot see the cuckoos singing in that time. So it is an inevitable process. Now, I would just, like, how would I tackle this thing of old age? One thing, all of us are aging, and the first thing I would write in capitals is acceptance. Accept that we are going to go through this phase of old age, and in order that we have a graceful aging, we definitely have to go and do the principles which are laid down in Ayurveda. like Dinacharya and Rutucharya and be in harmony with our external macrocosm. This is the only way we can actually age gracefully. And then I'll definitely keep the floor open for you to ask a lot of questions so we can make it very, very interactive. And one person asks the question, it will be answering a lot of other people's questions too. So now when we come to the Pitta, Vata and Kapha ages, the childhood age of what we call Bala, that is the Kapha age. Just look at the food that is consumed during the younger ages of growing. It is milk, milk products, sweets. These are the things consumed. And that age, even psychologically, is called the Kapha age. Now, middle age, metabolism is at its peak. We are doing all our activities. And so up to 50, it becomes the Pitta age. After 50, when things start slowing down, we all enter into the Vata stage of life. Now, Kapha has got the propensity to collect, gain fat, softness of the body. There's a light in the eyes, the skin is soft, and they've got a capability to eat a lot of sweets. So this you're seeing in little children always. Doesn't mean you've got to overfeed them with milk products and anything sweet and get them obese. That is the wrong utilization of the tenets laid down by Ayurveda in matters of food and activity. When it comes to the Pitta age, we would definitely like to have a lot of charts. Our food is always, our preferences, are on the higher end of anything, excess of everything. Now, in this mid period, supposing we continue to indulge in excesses, definitely the Vata period is going to be a bad one, because the deterioration is happening and you're augmenting it with whatever excesses that you're doing, because the best way to fall sick, Ayurveda has mentioned the best ways to fall sick also. One of the things is excessiveness, ati. Whatever you do, no, ati pravritti, you are going to overindulge in whatever you do, and knowingly, supposing you have gone to an Ayurvedic doctor and the doctor has told you that you have a pitta and vata prakriti, you can you cannot keep indulging in having very spicy and oily foods. I would say, I will give you the what are the things that you can use, because vata is a drying period. You will see dryness is your skin after 50. You will start seeing the dryness in your skin. The luster is going out. There's creaking of the joints, because the joints, the synovial fluids in between the joints is one form of kapha. Now, if your vata is increasing, it is going to dry up the kapha. Whatever is there in the body that has got this fluid kind of things is going to get dried up, because the vata is naturally increasing, because we are in the period of jara. So for this, now, whenever a person comes to us, we are going to give them the opposites of what they are showing. They are exhibiting burning. We are going to give them something that is going to cool down the burning in their stomach. That's how they come. No, I've got a burning, I've got acidity. We have to give them something that is going to cool down the acidity. Now, Vata has got the propensity of being cold and dry. Now, what would I give? I would give something which is hot. I'll ask them to take something hot inside and cover themselves up and give them oily stuff. Oil, when I say, I'm not talking about oils, I'll tell you about the best fats that you can consume. And we will start having, putting the patients on ghee. And in this age, as we are aging, the main thing that we will have to tackle is locomotion and balance. Very, very important, because you see falls happening, the bones are becoming brittle because the vata has increased and there's no unctuousness in the bones. So there is easy chance of breakage. Since the blood supply is not very good, then you know what all can happen if there's a hip fracture or a fracture of the femur of your thigh bone. So you have to be very, very careful when you're walking. So, and you kind of tend to be otherwise engaged. You're thinking something, you're not, when you're walking, you should be looking at the floor, not thinking about the past or in the future. This is the way the mind works, that we are in the past or we are in the future. So you're not looking at the ground. So there is a chance of slipping. And many a time we know the adage that the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. It is always the case because internally we all feel very young. You ask anybody, how old do you feel? They say, I feel 30 or 40. They will never ever say that because it's true. It is true that internally they feel very young. This, we have to go into philosophy because that Atma that is inside is never going to age. So you're always going to be that young person inside. So your inner person is always going to be young. It is only this body that is changing. So for this, when you go to the Panchakoshas and other formats of Indian philosophy, you understand this very well, that internally that person, the seer, is never going to age. He is there watching. The body is the one that is aging. But what to do? The body is a mantle that the seer has gotten, and it is something that has to be shed. Avasamshi Jirnani, you all know this Gita shloka very well. Yata vihaya anyani. You have to go on dehe. It is moving. So we won't go to that aspect. We are just going to tackle how we can have a good life as we are aging. What we can do to combat the stages that we go through, and how should we have what kind of food and behavioral changes and our actions activity levels, how we can change it. Like we can go into things like, there is something called a Srishti Krama. It is Balya, Brahmacharya, Grihastha, this Varanashrama, we go to Vanaprastha and then Sannyasa. See, all these, I told you, our rishis were great at classification. Balya, knowledge. Grihastha, do your work in this world. Then comes the Vanaprastha, when you have to start applying the wisdom that you have gained in your life. Vanaprastha, literally going into the forest. Present day, Vanaprastha means retiring to our own bedrooms, which has been allotted to us. That is what is Vanaprastha. Not watching television, you can do a lot of things. Your wisdom is very much needed. We have something called, this called a declining learning curve. So this, as we are growing, the peak is like this. At a certain point, we can't learn like how we were learning in the younger ages. That declines, but wisdom is increasing. The wisdom is increasing like that. It doesn't come down. So in that aspect, we are a very useful fraternity to be having around. One elderly person in the house is like a pillar. Anything you want to ask, you can go and ask them. They're always there for us. The presence is comforting. So Vanaprastha is that, and Sannyasa is when you're just going to let go of everything. It's not wearing an orange dress and going off to the Himalayas. You can just do whatever you're doing within the same place where you're at home only. That is sannyasa. Samyak nyasaha, where you have let go. Letting go, samyak. Nicely you're letting go. We don't carry baggage. That is the period where you are going into sannyasa. So this is the way it happens. So how we are going to have our food, how we are going to talk, what are the things? As Srishti Krama, when I said, after 50, you're not going to do power yoga. You have to plan when you are young, or when you're bala and young age, that adolescence, you do your power yoga and other things. As you are getting into your 30, 40, do the yoga which stretches and other things. As you're growing older, 60 plus, do 20% of asanas, the rest 40 minutes will be dhyana and pranayam. And after some time, it's going to be only dhyana because you have got control over your breath. So this is the way it is to be planned according to the Ayurvedic way. It is called Srishti Krama. Any Vedic scholar will be able to guide you in all these things. So any questions so far? See, the food and other things I can answer as and when the questions are coming up, I think. So far, so good. Did I go overboard and did it go like this?
No, it was good. It was really good. Any questions, anyone?
No, there is no question. It is so very interesting and very useful. But what happens is we get into that habit formation. No, so it's very difficult to control the tongue and habits.
Absolutely, Mr. Janaki Ram, is it? Yes, see, habit is the samskara that you have to break. Isn't it? So we can do it. Abhyasena vairagyena. Aren't the two things? Abhyasa, even to get rid of a bad habit, we have to start small. We cannot say that tomorrow I'm going to start. Very bad, because I never put any of my patients on any diet and tell them, stop this, stop this, stop this. You want to have all the rest? Have your coffee. Yes, you can have your coffee. It is moderation. There is something called Ati Sarvatra Varjayet. You cannot just take off everything at one shot. Yes, the tongue is And they are very addictive. Sugar, salt, these things are very addictive. So what we can do is, today you're taking 1 teaspoon, tomorrow take 95%. In small, very small, you what you call this portions, you got to reduce it. And believe me, it is going to be beneficial. It doesn't happen over time. And it is all here also. So breaking patterns comes from here. So you'll have to put them on a balance, Mr. Jankiram. How are you going to balance your well-being and your habits? These two are always at conflict. So why wait till something is shown on the echocardiogram or on the ultrasound scan or on the CT? You have to think about all these things much earlier, because in Ayurveda, do you know when they start the Rasayana Chikitsa? Chavanprash is not to be had when you're 60. He gives a beautiful example of taking an old cloth and dyeing it with new color. The color will never get onto an old cloth. It has to be a new cloth which the starch has been removed. So in Ayurveda, Rasayana Chikitsa starts Purve Vayasi Madhyova. When the deterioration is beginning to start, that is when you're around 30, 35, you must start your activity of taking Chavanprash. You must start your body massages with oil, because in Ayurveda we say Sneha Saroyam Purushaha. Sneha here means fat. Sara means our whole essence, our body is completely made out of fat. I'll give you the parlance of cholesterol. We are so very involved in taking statins to reduce our cholesterol that the cholesterol is taking, the statins are taking out even the brain stuff. Our brain is made up fully of cholesterol, and no wonder when you start taking these statins, you are finding the skin layer, no, under the layer of your skin also there is a layer of cholesterol, which is going to make the vitamin D when you expose yourself to the sunshine. When you take statins, it is not going to target only the one in the blood. It's going to take out the cholesterol under your skin, under your thing. It's going to eat up your brain. So try and look at the people. I have a record. Statin taking and dementia. It's not a joke that when it's not just a have what accident that I forget where I kept my phone and my keys. I'm deliberately doing it by taking steps. You have to be aware. You have to ask your doctors, is it necessary that I have to take it? What is the component in my blood that is showing high? Am I being benefited by this statin? Why did I get cramps in my calf muscles after 3 months? After 2 years, I developed diabetes. Is it because of statins? Yes, it is. All these things coming up. So you are not pawns at the hands of your doctors. Ayurveda, allopathy, homeopathy, all of you have got a right to question your doctors. If you feel that it is not right, you have every right to tell your doctor, this doesn't seem to be going well for me. I wish you could take a look at what you're giving me. Nowadays, especially, the biggest thing that has come up. Any more questions on that? Because Mr. Jankiram told me about habit. I'm just telling you the other things that could, can happen with all these things. Sugar, diabetes. 10 years ahead of you developing diabetes, your liver would have become fat. Fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver, NAFLD, it is called, that you would have already gotten. That your liver is screaming. Actually, 10 years earlier, it would have told you that you are insulin resistant. Please do something about it. That is the
Excuse
time
me,
you have to
doctor, this fatty liver brings me to the question.
Yes.
This Live 52 and all, they advertise, like supplements and herbal and Ayurvedic medicines. Is it right to take them without any prescription?
Over the counter, there are some companies which have made it very bad, because on the bottle, they would have written the indications. But let me tell you, Mr. Jankiram, without doing an adjuvant dietary restriction, Live 52 is going to do nothing for you. If I take a tablet, I'll be very happy. I'll eat whatever I want, and tomorrow I'll take 100 Live 52s and I'm going to be fine. Human enterprise is always like that. There is a saying in Kannada, I don't know how many of you know Kannada. They say, Kudure kandre kalu novu. When you look at a horse, your legs start hurting you. Means I'd rather go on the horseback. I don't want to walk. So it is like that. So when you see a horse, my feet are aching, I am going to go by horseback. So if somebody is going to give you a magic pill and say that tomorrow NFL, everyone is going to indulge in alcohol, everyone is going to eat all the carbohydrates they want to, then where is the human enterprise? What is the human will? The whole meaning of life is exerting your will to be the best you that you can be, body, mind and spirit, isn't it? That is what is Ayurveda. You talk about the Indriyas, you talk about the Dhatus, dosha. In fact, Sushruta has so beautifully explained Samadosha, Samadhatu, Samagni, Malakriyaha. You know, he has even mentioned the evacuation of the malas, the urine, the sweat, and the fecal matter from your body. And beyond that, this has not been told. Even WHO gave it in somewhere in 19 something, the definition for health. But in Ayurveda, Sushruta has mentioned Prasanna Atma Indriya Manaha. Your soul has to be satisfied. Don't we say it is a soul satisfying experience? Don't we use those phrases, soul satisfying? It is there when your soul is satisfied, when your mind is happy. You're very fond of sweets, and I tell you, don't eat sweets. You're going to yell in your mind. You're scolding me all the time when somebody comes in front of you with sweets, and you cannot reach out for that. Indriya is your five senses. The five senses are our gateway to knowledge. They are also the gateways to our downfall also. It can take you to heaven or to hell. Both the gateway is your five senses. So Indriya, our five sense organs, the food that we give, that is also ahara, is what you feed. So Indriyas also are getting our ahara. So we've got five sense organs. We have to take a note that we do not indulge, overindulge. In fact, in our text, we have been told not to see gross things, like something very horrible that is happening, what we see nowadays in movies and other things. We are not supposed to. These are the tenets laid down. You would be surprised if I tell you the nail cutting, the cutting of the nails. They have told us the vidhi and when we are supposed to do it. The time, once in a week, that is mentioned. In Rigveda, you are going to find a nail cutter. The mention of a nail cutter with iron means they knew they were nail cutters. It is so beautifully done. We have got even systems which are laid down, and just because of the British, it's a watered down Oxford study that we are doing, we have gone away from that. Half of us do not start our study of Sanskrit after 50 because evolution will naturally take us to the higher levels of thinking, and it will want us to get into philosophy. That is what Srishti Krama is. Whether you want it or no, ladies, I will tell you one thing. After 50, you can be happy irrespective of the things happening around you. It is an inbuilt mechanism. You don't need other people around you to make you happy. After 50, you can be happy naturally. That is why many people I've seen divorce after 50 because they don't care to be around somebody who is making them unhappy. Matlab, they are so bindas and they would love to be, they can be happy by themselves. They don't need external thing, means happiness which is inside, that Chidananda Swarupa which is inside is trying to come out, and we want to indulge and go into spirituality. For that, we start learning Sanskritam, because Sanskrit and other things, if you are into the Indian tradition, you will find it very difficult to be doing that. If you cannot call God into your house in summer, how will he come to you in the winter of your lives? That is the whole thing when we say Purve Vayasi Madhyava. It starts in that area of your lifetime, middle age. You should tell your youngsters that they have to do something. You can't tell them go to the God's room and pray. They'll never do it. So if you show by example, something, I have seen many people coming and telling me, I don't know, after retirement, my dad started doing a lot of puja part. It just comes naturally. It is not that someone has told them. Yes. So the question, Mr. Jankiram, I hope I've answered it. Please do not take Live 50 to another things. They are okay. You cannot take them without doing dietary and habit changes at home.
Thank you so much. You very well answered and very interesting and very useful program.
Thank you. Any more questions?
Any other questions? Kindly unmute yourself and ask your question.
Please don't withhold, because everything is out here. We can answer whatever you want. I mean, whatever is there up here is yours for this time being.
Please go ahead.
This is, hello, excuse me, are you able to hear me? This is Balasubramanian.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
I am Janaki Ram's classmate, and so through him only I came to know about this. Now and then I am attending this. It was a very nice lecture. So it's a very nice, very useful. I have one small, I don't know whether to call it a question, but See, you are talking, when we are becoming, beyond 50, 60 and all that, and our wisdom goes up, but, our learning comes down.
Yes.
See, I am a retired professor. I think, I can, I can learn even now, so it appears, but the only thing is, I am not able to remember the names. Some names and all I am not able to remember. But learning, I think it has got to do with your interest to learn also, and then, of course, wisdom, and you are saying, whatever, we have acquired through the experience, of so many years. So those things are very, very helpful, and of course it is giving wisdom regarding your technical field itself, I am just telling. But learning anyway, we are able to do even now. So it is a question of, continuing, with that interest, and then, wanting to learn, and then we learn. So that is continuing, but this memory, and then this names and all, no, we are not able to remember.
Yeah.
So that is a very big problem.
Yeah. No.
Thank you. Your lecture was very good. We are enjoying it like anything. Thank you very much.
Yeah. See, long-term memory as we age will be very, very strong. Short-term memory is the place where we fail. I would, for this, when you're around 60, you must start 50, I would say 50, 55. Please start increasing the intake of ghee in your diets. Do not let it go. Whatever you are having, see, it depends also, Mr. Balasubramaniam, if, are you diabetic or something?
No, I am not diabetic. So marginal, but not really diabetic. I have been going through, not diabetic.
See,
I am not taking any
because,
medicine also.
yeah, good. Because by and large, what I have
Maybe
seen
I
is,
should take ghee as you are saying. Okay, all
you
right.
must,
Okay.
because you see, the ones who have got very good memory, if you see after food, they used to put ghee in their hand and drink it. Because the brain, we have got, it is ghritam. Ghritam is ghee, looks like the brain. And in Ayurveda, we have got something called Dravya Samanya and Guna Samanya. Qualitatively, what is similar, and quantitatively and structurally, what is similar, that is good for that part of the body. Like kidney beans and horse gram is good for the kidneys. Ghee, when it is frozen, it resembles the brain. So that is good for the brain. Now I'll explain to you in the modern way how it goes also fat and the sugar. See, glucose many a time, we are taking, if we are insulin resistant and also taking insulin and taking metformin and other things, the brain relies on a fuel. Now, when you're taking a metformin or something which is reducing the sugar in the bloodstream, the brain is also going to suffer from less of energy, no fuel. So you have to give it an alternative source of energy which can come through a fat. Because even a fat, when eaten, it's going to break down into ketones, and ketones can offer an alternate source of energy to the human brain. So that is the reason I would say, that is why I said Sneha Saroyam Purushaha. Except the bone, all the rest of our body parts do have cholesterol. Even the cell membrane is something called a bilipid membrane. It will not allow the medication to go through it. This bilipid membrane, if you strip it of it by taking the statins and other things, we are going to lose weight, and we are going to become like dry sticks. We are not going to be like fresh firewood. We are going to be like dry sticks. The minute you light, it is going to ignite. So that is the time when diseases are caused. So you please, all of you have to increase your intake of ghee in your diets. Don't worry. Talk to your doctor.
Okay. Thank you.
People,
Thank you very much.
people
Thank
who
you.
are on statins, please do not just stop it like that cold turkey. You will have to talk to your doctor. They will definitely frighten you and say, no, 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 you have to continue. You will have to wean it off under a doctor's direction. And if you take ghee, your cholesterol is not going to rise up. Please make a note whenever you go to the go to the lab and you get your blood work done. Check something called your triglyceride and your HDL. These are the two things you'll have to see. And if your triglycerides are 100, your HDL must be 50. This is the rule.
My,
You
my,
are
my wife is a doctor, that way. My wife is a doctor.
wonderful.
So that way, she is going through all these things. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you.
But
I
there
will.
is
I
so
will
many
follow
things.
your advice. Yeah.
Um,
Cholesterol is definitely, little. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So
sure
we have
she'll
to keep
agree,
it into.
Mr. Balasubramaniam, because nowadays, there is so much thing coming outside here. You should please look at something called Dr. Nadir Ali on YouTube. You'll understand what's going on in the
Yeah.
pharma field also. Any medicine for that matter. Even in Ayurveda, you cannot take medicines without going to a doctor. You will have to go and take.
Yeah.
And one prescription is not the thing that is going to fit into somebody else's wallet. It is not one pill for all ills in Ayurveda. You will have to go to a doctor and find out from them what is actually suiting you. But ghee and everything, it's a blanket. You will have to take it. Ideally, you should avoid sunflower oil and safola and those heart healthy kind of things. Anything that is stripped of its smell and the color, whatever you find it like white water. Please do not use those. Those cause something called inflammation in your blood vessels. These are the things that happen. And cholesterol and other things form plaques there because you have sent these oils which are stripped off of nutrients. They kind of burn the arteries, and
You
there are
can't use
breaks in
that.
the kind of arterial intimal layers of the artery. Now, to save up that thing, this cholesterol will go and patch up there, and you have plaque development.
No,
That is going
no.
to cause the block. So, best thing you can do is avoid inflammation. Dairy products, people do have restrictions as to what they can have. I would definitely go for full fat milk and butter. That is the only thing that raises insulin only small level. Insulin does not raise when we take fats. Insulin shoots up when we take a lot of carbohydrates and sugar. Fructose, fruits are good, but please take them in the whole form. Do not drink juices. It gives the pancreas the juice in 5 seconds, and it's going to say, what am I going to do with so much sugar which is dumped on me? I'm going to rise my insulin, and it's not going to help you. Insulin resistance can lead to a lot of other diseases. You have to catch it there. So fruits, not all fruits are good. Fructose is something that is to be avoided. You cannot eat everything, and we are not eating the fruits that were there in the ancient times. The apple that you eat now has got 20 grams of sugar. It's not like those old tart apples that used to come from Simla. Even from Simla, what is coming now is too sweets. The fruits are too sweets. Safe bet, stick to berries if you want. Strawberries, raspberries, those kind of blueberries, not indigenous to India. So I would like to go local and buy seasonal. Whatever is seen, and pomegranates are good for you. Please do not drink the juice. That's only under special conditions that I advise juices. And no pulping the vegetables and drinking smoothies. God has given us teeth for a good reason. When you bite, you're going to release more of saliva. That is the action that happens when you bite with your teeth. So there is saliva which is alkaline, so your digestion starts in your mouth. The first stage of carb digestion happens in your mouth because your saliva has got tyolin and other things that are going to digest the food in your mouth. First stage happens there, and then goes in. You drink a glass of juice, this important aspect is gone. You're going to just drink it, And one more thing I wanted to, before I forget, drinking water. It is said that the brain, as we grow really old, the center for thirst and other things goes away. So there's every chance that we get dehydrated. So you have to keep sipping, but not this thing of drinking 2.5 liters of water per day and keep chugging water. You have to sip water. Best time of the day to drink water is in between your meals. Please do not drink. Weight loss and all is other things. You're going to dilute the hydrochloric acid that is being secreted in your stomach. So you have to drink it in sips in between. One morsel, little bit of water. That's okay. And when you are thirsty, please drink water. Just don't keep up 2 liters of water and say, I'm going to finish it per day, because that can cause a lot of problems depending on your prakriti. If you are a kapha prakriti, your metabolism is going to come down when you drink water like that. So I've had tackled water, and I've tackled the food aspect. You cannot eat once in 2 hours, please. Frequent meals are passe. We are in the maintenance field. You're in the maintenance field of a life. You don't need extra food to keep the energy level like that when we are All we are doing is sitting on, I'm not telling about everybody, but some people sitting on the couch and the only exercise we are doing is with our thumb with the remote control. Right? So at least if you get up and go and switch off the TV, I would say yes, okay. So the 10,000 steps per day, don't go OCD. You'll develop OCD if you say every day I'm not going to sleep before I walk my 10,000 steps. It doesn't work like that. Do your work yourself. If you can walk out, not on the treadmill ideally, but I know if you are staying in a place which cannot help you to go outside, at least veranda somewhere, little bit of fresh air is there. Do your walking in those kind of areas. Yes, then activity levels, you can do stretches. You must do weights, please, not power yoga. Please, no. You can do weights with very small weights in your hand, and you must have muscle strength, because otherwise the muscle will convert into fat. And then it's just like a blob. That means your Agni is already down because of the aging factor, and we are feeding stuff into it. It's not able to burn it. So instead of converting it into energy and reaching the right body parts, it's just going to send it to the liver and pack it off as fat. And if it cannot be utilizing that, then your muscles get stripped of their energy, breakdown happens, and even that converts into fat. Okay, so you cannot eat once in 2 hours.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
I don't know, but I think
you, Dr. Renuka. There are some questions on the chat.
Yes, I did see that. I wasn't able to read it fast enough.
Okay, Dr. Renuka, is there any simple text in English where we can find Ayurvedic principles such as the Dinacharya for different seasons, etc.? The problem I face, what's it? Just a minute.
Is finding information on Ayurveda that is simple and clearly laid out. Yes. Could you please recommend a layperson-friendly guide to Ayurveda?
I think Mr. Ramesh has asked that question.
Oh, Anuja has asked it.
Okay.
Anuja has asked that question.
Yeah. See, it is
friendly guide in Ayurvedic, a layperson friendly guide to Ayurveda.
Yeah. See, Ayurveda comes from, it's an offshoot of the Rigveda, I told you. There's a lot of technical terms in that which are quite ambiguous for people to understand. Saying that, I would definitely encourage you to go and look at these ResearchGate papers which are there. There are a lot of Ayurvedic scholars who have written papers on Dinacharya, Rutucharya. You can please take a look at that. So far, I have seen only translations of Ayurvedic texts which are coming into this, because there's a big chance of misinterpretation and misrepresentation of facts. Unless you have the background of an Ayurvedic study, it's very difficult to understand, because see, so many things are there now. The internet is flooded with material. Even during the corona, there were so many people talking Ayurveda. It is not something that you pick off the shelves in your kitchen. That becomes folk medicine. Ayurveda is a science which is developed on great observation and scientific classification. So it is not just like that. Now see, we say, I just saw a question, cold pressed oils. Okay. Now,
it continues.
For reducing triglycerides, is it?
What kind of food can we have?
Yeah. For reducing triglycerides, straight out, cut out your sugars and cut out your carbs, please. Increase your ghee intake. You can have butter. Don't take flour. You like flour, you have this rice flour ka rotis, which the flour is making it even more fine. No breads, no maida. You can have vegetables you want to have. Capsicum salads are okay. You can have paneer, you can have cheese, you can have not the mozzarella and those things, not the pizzas. You cannot have pizzas, because I said cheese, please don't go and have pizzas, because it has a base of maida. You cannot have that. Ghar mein paneer you can have. You have butter, because and ghee is the best thing you can have. Cut out your sugar and your carbs. You can go zero carb. Nothing will happen. You want to feel full for some time, add a little amount of fat to your food. It delays the gastric emptying. When you add a fat to your carb, it delays the food from going very fast from the stomach into the duodenum. So gastric emptying is delayed. You can add fat to that. These are research things. It's not only mentioned in Ayurveda. For us, though, they have said you have to add ghee in everything. You have to, there is a 5 methods in which you can use oil on fats on your body, One is taking internally, one is applying it here, one is keeping it on your head, in a cotton bed. You take a bit of Brahmi oil or something and keep it over here. And we advocate putting drops in the ear very carefully. That comes with a caveat that your eardrums are patent. Your eardrums are okay, only then you are able to go to your ENT surgeon, find out if your eardrums are okay. This is a place for Akasha. Dryness can happen very fast there. So you have to use, earlier we used to do coconut oil. If you're in Mangalore on the coast, we use coconut oil. If you're in West Bengal or somewhere, you use mustard oil. Sarso ka tel up north. So you can apply it on your body, and we do drops in the nose also, because they say nasahi shirasi dwaram. The nose is the entry into the portal into the brain. We know that the olfactory nerves directly come into our nostrils, and they, through a plate called here cribriform plate, it goes there directly into our brain. And that's where the pituitary gland is there. We do dhara in Ayurveda. We have a beautiful program called Panchakarma. Unfortunately, as we grow older, other than the Abhyangam, that is the body massages, and Nasya, and the Karna Purana, and this external application of oil, we cannot do the other things like Virechana and Vamana, vomiting, and we cannot ask give drastic purgatives to elderly people. As I said, that old cloth, you cannot dye it. It doesn't catch the color. So we have to take it carefully. Only thing that is allowed as we age is colonics. And for that also, we do not direct you to, I would be a bit wary of going to a naturopathic place and getting just a water colonics done. In our Ayurveda, we add probiotics, prebiotics, and there is a process by which hydrogen peroxide is increased. Then we add medicated kashayams, and then it is very carefully given and it is expelled. We have done this. Anything we do, it is a very beautiful thing, whether you want to believe it or not. When there is something that happening in the brain and the neural networks and the nervous system, we give colonics with medicine. We give it with ghee. Epilepsy is a disease which starts from here. We give all the medicines that are mentioned in Charaka Samhita in this mental disorders is based in ghee. Why? Only ghee can cross the blood-brain barrier. Only fat can cross. Liquid water molecule, water soluble stuff does not go through. So we use ghee as a medium to transfer Brahmi into the brain. Yes, I hear a question about this intermittent fasting.
Yes, and there's also one more, doctor, on the chat, which says, they say you have to sit and drink water. What is the reason? And another person has asked for your phone number so that, they can consult you.
We can do that in the last. I'll give my number in the fag end of the thing. But sitting down and chugging is not something that is mentioned in Ayurveda. They have told us to sip, but standing and they say you shouldn't put it down, probably because you can get choked or something like that. When you're sitting, see, it means you're taking time for yourself. If you cannot drink a glass of water in peace, what are we doing? You're feeling thirsty and you want to drink a glass of water. Make it a meditative act of taking care of your thirst. That's all. According to me, I would put it in that category, that you're taking time for yourself. How much can you kind of, on the run, see, on the fly. I don't like that aspect of on the fly. You're holding a burger in your hand and driving with one hand and eating something. No, food is the greatest yajna that you can do. Greatest thing that you can do, because that is the Agni in your abdomen that is happening. Check the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritam. Pranapanam, he says, no, Pranapana Samayuktam Pachami Annam Chaturvidham. What are the 4 Chaturvida? In Ayurveda, it is mentioned. Asitam, what you eat, Khaditam, what you chew. Pitam, what you drink. Lidam, what you lick. Pickle and other things we eat, Those are the ones that you lick. Chavanprash you put on your hand and you lick. Ghee you put on your hand and you lick. Lidam, that is the ones that you use your tongue to eat. And that aspect was mentioned there. So you take your time. Eating is the greatest thing that you can do. That's the only interaction with the environment that we have. To be macrocosm and microcosm on the same level, it is only food and water right now. So you do that at least in peace, please. I hope I've answered that question.
Good. There's one more doctor who a person wants to know about amla and ashgod juice.
Amla, yes. Ashgod specifically not mentioned in Ayurveda. Amalaki is vitamin C rich. I'm giving you the thing, but Amalaki is the only fruit. See, in Ayurveda, we have see this technical, we call Shad Rasas. There are 6 tastes that a human being has to indulge in order to have normalcy. Every meal should possess all these 6 rasas. Madura is sweet, Amla, sour, Lavana, salt, Katu, pungent, Tikta, bitter, Kashaya, astringent. And I'll tell you the order in which these 6 rasas have to be had. Dessert never to be had at the end of the meal. You are going to suffer from high triglycerides. You are going to suffer from anything else. Kapha increases at that moment. So always dessert is eaten at the beginning of the meal. When the gastric juices are really good, you have a little bit of payasam. If you have attended a wedding, if you see what they serve in the beginning is at one end of the leaf, they will put some payasam. The main sweets will come later, but to the starting of the thing, you have to start with that sweet. Then you have all the rest, whatever they have served at the end of the thing. You top your lunch with buttermilk. That is the kashaya rasam. That is, it gets an astringent. I'll tell you what is the meaning of astringent. If you have ever eaten a gooseberry, not the flowered one, what you call this gooseberry, Indian gooseberry, after you eat it, your lips inner area, it becomes whitish. And if you drink water immediately after taking a gooseberry, it tastes sweet. That is because of that kashaya, astringent taste which is there in this. Amla, except lavana, except salt, all the 5 rasas are present in amla. It is the greatest vayasthapaka, means it sees that you don't get old. These are technical terms which are mentioned in Ayurveda. Vayasthapaka, it sees that you're not going to go old. Your tissues will be maintained well. Taking amla juice in the morning with a pinch of turmeric is very good for diabetics. So you can have just this amla juice early morning if you want. I also say that people of a Pitta Prakriti especially are benefited a lot. The ones who have got early graying of hair, it's not going to turn over. It's not going to become black because you took the amla, but you can stop the progress of that graying of gray hair and gastritis happening and all that. You can have this. This Laukika juice, it is not something that is mentioned as, a treatment. As I told you, Ayurveda means plants. I can even say penicillin is Ayurveda then, because it comes out of a plant. That doesn't work like that. Anything off the shelf can be folklore medicine, which is also a branch by itself. Old grandmas would have done it, but never forget that even folklore has come from our Vedic background only. Because it is done in our Vedic, it is in our mainstream of our lives. We do a lot of stuff without knowing that it is connected to Vedic literature and the Vedic aspect of our lives. We speak a lot of whatever we talk is a lot from the Vedic background. Yes. Any question?
Intermittent fasting someone had asked about, and someone else about cold pressed oil.
Yeah. Intermittent fasting. Please don't have 5 meals a day.
Please mute yourself. I think someone's speaking. Kindly mute yourself.
Yeah, I think it's Mr. Bharat Reddy.
Bharat Reddy, please mute yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Intermittent fasting was an inbuilt aspect of our culture. We used to leave morning, have a breakfast, come back in the evening, 5 o'clock when the birds come home, have dinner and go off to bed. A 12-hour gap without food is intermittent fasting, which is inbuilt into our habit. We never were supposed to have 5 meals, 3 big meals and 2 snacks in between. It was never meant to be for our activity level. We are not hunting and we are not going into the fields. So everything happened as a matter of evolution. Ayurveda also is an evolutionary science. Unfortunately, the growth got thwarted with the colonization and we were not able to grow. The surgery and other aspects we were not able to grow. Probably now we had Nadi and everything that would have extended onto ultrasound machines being developed in Ayurveda also, technically incorporating, because it was a It was a growing kind of field. It was never a stagnant one. So intermittent fasting, don't go overboard. If you are a Pitta Prakriti and you are going to do a 16-8, you are going to definitely have a problem. Everything in moderation. Ati sarvatra varjayet. It is always there. Ati sarvatra. Don't go to extremes in anything. You can have 2 meals. And please see that your 2 meals are not totally carbs or everything. All the 6 rasas with all the macro. That is your carbs, your proteins, dal, rice, good dollop of ghee, butter in your sauteed vegetables, small part of salads. Nothing more. A good marriage food, where rice is not going to be like a mountain. Rotis, make it a little less. Can't have 5-6 rotis. If you want to reduce, you add, you do a mixed roti kind. You can add basin and other things with the wheat to reduce. See, I'm using this word glycemic index and other things because you should understand, but this is what is mentioned even in our texts. And this fad with this siridanyas, you have these, what is this thing there called? Millets. Okay. It is a known fact that it is very good in the case of diabetes. But every time you take a millet, nobody is telling you that you have to add big dollops of butter, have full fat curd, or add ghee when you are giving tadka or on your top of your millets, whatever. Do your dosas and idlis with ghee. This is the rule there. Please do not consume only millets. It's very drying. After 10 years, there will be development of Parkinson's in the body. Yes?
I have a question.
Yeah, Ramesh.
Dr. Renuka.
Ask.
Yeah. It's about, right. Wonderful session. In fact, it's just an expansion of one of the chapter points.
I think you're breaking
One
up,
is
Mr. Ramesh.
about the fasting. I mean, we also talk about. Oh, is it better now?
Yeah,
Is it better
continue,
now?
please. You please
Yes,
continue.
better.
Okay. Yeah, one more thing about the fasting was that we talk about Ekadashi fasting. There's once in or twice a month. So and also about these cold pressed oils or brown rice, things like that. And of course they said cold pressed oils should be as per your tradition, what your grandparents had, based on the region. Like I think in South India it's mainly sesame, groundnut, and so on. So is that advisable? And also fasting, how do we make it? I've heard of autophagy. How do we make it really beneficial? It's supposed to be also good for anti-diabetes.
Yes. The 12 hours, see, everything based on insulin sensitivity. So the 12-hour 2 meals a day program with lot of fat incorporated is a good method, Mr. Ramesh. And cold pressed oils is using 2 steel girders to bring together the oil, and the oil is going to be extracted.
Wooden
Do you know
girders,
how it
yes.
used to be done earlier? If you want wood pressed oil,
Yes.
I would go for that rather than cold pressed oil.
That's it. Yes, wood pressed oil. Yes.
Wood pressed oils, they are better because they used to use a particular kind of wood also when that bull used to go around.
I
So
see.
it's not like I'm taking you all to antiquity and going back. Just asking some of the processes to be brought back. That's all. Don't go totally and sit in the under the street lights and study and think. We're not asking. See, evolution has to. Human enterprise is what has made it, and human enterprise is an expression of the higher intelligence. So you cannot say. But where we are going away is making everything comfortable. The tongue has to be satisfied. The flavor is not there. We are not able to take in the smell of normal sesame oil, and the children are made so sterile. Oh my God! So the cheese is okay because it's bland. So we're becoming zombies, which are consuming. Our taste buds do not have any work to do. In fact, that is all. They are all protective mechanisms. The bitter is there. This is like poison. I can't take it. So they are all protective. Even a dog, if it smells something bitter, it doesn't eat it because evolutionary, it instinctively thinks it is something poisonous and not good for health. And we, with 5 sense organs, we are trying to dumb all of our senses and just going like this about life. And who gives us human life? It is one thing that is going to come once in a lifetime, and if we don't take it seriously and become the best persons we are in one lifetime, that's why when Sajani said that I've done a lot of stuff, I still haven't stopped learning. I'm doing my Veda Mantra studies. It does not work like that. They say it is only the intellect that is you carry on into your next with your Atman and something. So get that better, no? And to keep your brain intact, you have to have a lot of fat.
Right. Talking about fat, you spoke about butter.
Yes.
that butter is homemade butter vis-a-vis Amul butter and things like that, right? Is that
No,
what
see,
you're saying?
Amul butter, you please look and see whether the butter is white or yellow.
Yellow.
Yellow butter more preferable because there are carotenoids in that. White butter means it's stripped of it.
And what about this brown rice and
Brown rice has got a tough coating. It will not be digested so well in your stomach. This Mangalore and all Kerala and other things, we have the other kind of brown rice, no, half boiled.
red
That
rice?
is okay, but that also comes, the whole idea of having red rice or any other alternative to carbs is that you will consume less amount. It's not that you're going to, if you eat 100 grams of this or that, it's going to be the same because your appetite, you get satiated earlier when you eat a smaller amount, but it's very tough for the stomach. See, your age is as old as your digestive system. So you shouldn't stress it much. So that doesn't mean I'm going to go direct sugar or direct thing. You have to make it use its hydrochloric acid and it is the pancreatic juice and the bile. Everything has to be used. Supposing you are taking a fat-free diet, the bile is not going to be secreted into the duodenum. It's going to collect there and you're going to have bile stones, cholesterol stones. So that is the whole idea. The body is a very intelligent piece. No one can create it. It's very, every cell is intelligent. It will not allow any poison to get into it. It's got its own ego. It will say, I don't want this. Please let it out of me. It will not take in poisons. If you have got DDT, it will enter, and then when we do ghee, it is going to go inside and flush it out of the cell because it's a bilipid membrane. Your insulin is bombarding it's not allowing the sugar to get inside. Too much insulin, it's not allowing sugar to enter into your muscle. So the muscle is going to shrink. The initial stages, we find out why it is because they become suddenly thin. That is the time we know that they are going to diabetes. Yes, and autophagy, 48-hour fast is usually the recommended time for it to go into autophagy. But if you do this scavenging thing that you do in Ekadashi fast, that also you can't do suddenly only water. Nirjal, all those things you do, no? You have to train yourself. Initially, thoda karke, you'll have to make this one and you can.
What about the other? There's one more thing I read something interesting recently.
Voice is not
It
clear.
seems that your skin. I've read something rather interesting recently, age-related, which says that many people start getting psoriasis or some skin-related problems. This is actually a reflection of what's happening inside the body also, calcification. So whatever you mentioned about ghee and the correct fats and help with that, isn't it?
Psoriasis, we directly, skin diseases are a reflection of a bad gut and your food intake not being okay. So we have got references to this. It is also related to stress. So when we are treating psoriasis cases, it is a kapha disorder. We say when you have had a lot of stuff that is going to increase the kapha, especially when there's an itch in the body, maybe it is kapha related. If it is a dry itch, then we say kapha and vata related. Difficult to treat. That is the time we put fat outside. But that time when you have to go to a doctor. Blind, as I told you, if you are healthy, ghee is okay. If you're having psoriasis, you'll have to go to a doctor. Probably they'll give you medicated ghee. It's not this dietary ghee that we give. We will be giving you ghee also for intake, but it's medicated. So that enters the skin. Surprisingly, that first thing, the food, rasa dhatu, the one that nourishes the body, the effect of the rasa dhatu is seen first on the skin. So we will tackle it from the diet itself. No fish. We take the diet is very strict in psoriasis cases. So that happens. The intermittent fasting can help even psoriasis. If you do it under a doctor's thing and no having, there's a diet for that, which is not again a blanket for all psoriasis cases. All right.
Thank you.
There's one more question about ghee. May I ask it? Someone has asked, is it okay to use ghee as a cooking medium?
Yes, you can definitely use it as a cooking medium because the flash point is very high. You can still use it for, what is that, puri and all those things. See, but one more thing is there. It is calorifically very, very high. So you cannot eat that and sit sedentarily. You need to stimulate your juices, gastric juices also. That happens with exercise. So you cannot have a sedentary lifestyle and keep taking ghee. If you are sedentary, I would say 1 or 2 spoons. That's all. If you are an active lifestyle you're leading, please include ghee in your diet. It helps. Better than other kind, take off your heart healthy oils, what they mention. It is stripped of all the nutrients. Go back. We got to get home again. And have the ghee that is coming out of desi guy, preferably. The other ones are loaded with A2, what we call A2 in America. Desi gir cow. Gir cow are the local cows. Plenty of companies are doing it. Little expensive, but nothing when your health is concerned. You pay less for the insurance premium and you eat your ghee. You invest here. Health is the biggest thing you can invest in as you're aging. The mind, you should be happy. Don't bother about anything that others are saying. Been there, done that. That should be your attitude. Just go ahead. We don't own anybody. Children they come through us, not to us. They are like arrows sent out of your. It's the second time I'm repeating it in 2 days. Yesterday I had another talk and I did say the same thing. They are like arrows which come. You got to be independent on your own. Cannot depend upon anybody. In order to be independent and be on your own, you must be healthy. Investment in health when you're around 35, 40. Take care of your health. Be active, not overdoing stuff. Look at your inflammation in the body. Get screenings done for inflammation, CRP and other things. They are the ones. It's not the high cholesterol that causes the heart attacks. It is the inflammation in the body. CRP, heart, there is something called HSCRP. All those things, your heart sensitive CRP. All these things you have to get done. Ask your doctor. Keep a doctor, one doctor, a family kind of physician. I would prefer a family physician who knows your history very well. And it can be a local doctor also, very close to your house. I wouldn't go to a big corporate hospital for physical to do. You must have somebody nearby whom you can just rush and say, Doc, can you please check my BP? Accessibility is more important there.
There's one more question.
Yes, please.
How to increase our Jatar Agni to improve our digestion?
Yes. Jatar Agni is part of our Prakriti. If you are born as a Pitta Prakriti, you will have something called a Tikshna Agni. Whatever you eat, you are going to burn up like this and you will be like this. If you have got something, you are a Kapha Prakriti and you have got a Manda Agni, then whatever you eat, your metabolic rate is very low that you are going to convert it into fat straight away. Goes to the liver, packs it off as fat. If you are a Vata Prakriti, you are going to have it's called Vishamagni. You will have it. So one day you are good, one day you are not good. So under this framework of your Prakriti, you will have to maintain whatever Agni you have. If you have Manda Agni, don't go overboard on your jalebi and rabri. You eat half jalebi and keep that Manda Agni to digest that much. Tikshna Agni, don't increase your calorie, include fat. This Vishamagni, take it by the day. Today I ate 2 cups, tomorrow I will eat 1 cup. That is the way it goes. You must be very, very aware of your body. You cannot increase the Agni. It is like if you have done a havan at home, you know the Ritviks, the 4 people who are sitting on 4 sides, very carefully will be putting only on the small end of the darvi, swaha, swaha, swaha. They don't pour the bucket of ghee, even though the patram is there. The vessel full of ghee is there, but they still with the darvi, they will be pouring only little by little. It is only at the time of Purnahuti, last stage, when it comes up as a blazing thing, they add the nuts, the fruits and the dry coconut and all those things are added into that havan. You have the final blaze. Okay, that is the finishing of the Agni. You cannot do that. You have to be very, very careful about what you eat. In the framework of your 3 Agni states, which I told you, depending upon your Prakriti, you will know. I didn't eat anything. Even if I'm breathing in air, I'm putting on weight. Very clear Mandagni. So that means you should increase your activity levels. Go do another extra kilometer of a walk. Not an intense walk. Do a walk. After meals, half an hour sit down. Then do your routine walk. And it's very beautifully mentioned. You've got to sit down for 1 muhurta, 48 minutes after food. You sit for 45 minutes. And after the dinner, 45 minutes sit down. walk 100 steps. This much is enough for the food to get into your digestive system. This is the way it is mentioned. And for this, I would definitely, if all of you can afford to get a translation of Vagbhata's Ashtanga Hridayam. Ashtanga Hridayam. Ashtanga Hrudayam. Hridayam. So in all these prescriptions which I've given you, it is not one pill for all age. It's not one we have to tailor the suit according to the person who comes to us. We have to cut the suit cloth according to the person who comes. It's not just like that. So be very aware. You know that when you've eaten the morsel there, this is what is keeping in touch with your bodily intelligence. Ask your stomach. Put your hand on your stomach and ask, are you okay to have another one? It's not like, this is the joke my teacher used to say. The best thing to do when you're overfull and you're undigested is to put your finger in your throat and puke. You have to bring out all the food, undigested food. That's one of the best ways when you're having a heavy tummy. So that person said, if I had space to put 2 fingers, I would have eaten some more. Means he's eaten up to his neck. This is something called mithya. You're using it wrongly, your senses. This is where you're overindulging. This is one of the ways in which, we have very clearly mentioned it is a low usage, high usage, and a wrong usage of your senses. Low usage is light is very low. I'm trying to crane and I'm trying to look at the small print. I'm straining my eyes. Or I go and look at the solar eclipse when the total eclipse is there, I look there. That becomes ati. What I'm doing in low light is that. And what I'm doing is I'm doing something with some eyes or constantly looking down the microscope without giving it a rest. Computer, looking at the computer, that becomes a mithya yoga of using my senses. So for everything there is a ati yoga, mithya yoga, and that vishamay, what you use, wrong way of handling. So everything, all our senses, all our systems are governed by these 3 of ati, mithya, and the proper usage. Wrong usage, sorry. Yes?
So much. We'll take one last question, which is on the chat.
Yes.
Meera wants to know, can cancer be cured with just Ayurvedic medicine? My sister-in-law is taking only Ayurvedic medicine.
Depends, because in my experience so far, Meera, I have always gotten patients who have been rejected and said, you can go home, we have nothing to do now. After the chemo and everything is over, they have sent. So by the time they come to us, there is radiation, there is chemo, there is surgery, everything that is over. Now, I would just say, I don't know where she's taking the treatment, because there are plenty of places in Dehradun. You've got a lot of doctors who are saying that they are doing it, but they use more of this mineral based, Ours is a herbal and a mineral. Siddha system uses more of minerals. They use a lot of mercury compounds and other things. Please don't be afraid. All doctors who give Ayurvedic medicines do not give you medicines which are going to hurt your. I was expecting one of those questions. Does it harm the kidney and the liver? Everybody is talking about the kidneys which are harmed. I'll tell you one story which happened. There was a case which had a skin problem. She came to me because she was not relieved. The skin doctor had given her a medication with corticosteroids. She didn't get better. Then when I treated her with my internal medication, it was okay. She was in remission. She went to the doctor and told, and the doctor said, oh, the doctor must have given you steroids. Then why didn't it get better when she gave steroid application? You get my point? So this thing happens, and it is like east and west, never the twain shall meet. They won't understand. See, I don't blame them because they don't understand. They won't understand. Yes, I think she's taking with a Dr. Kaje. So he has got his experience, I presume. But I will not say that we can't cure. I won't say we can cure also. Depends on the stage in which. And I'll tell all of you, please, if you follow that Dinacharya and Rutucharya, all through the, from your young age and from when your brains have started working and you are thinking a human being, when that has started, if you follow Ayurveda tenets, you're not going to fall sick. The time of eating, the amount of eating, what you have to eat, which season you have to eat, all this is covered in Ayurveda. So you just have to follow. They've told you what kind of neem ka. the toothbrushes that you use, what you call the Datun. Which season what you have to use has been told. This oral cavity is kapha predominant. So you have to use the ones with astringent or bitter. So neem, yeah, mango, yeah, ye panas ka bolte hai na, jackfruit wala. With that datun you are supposed to use. So all the cough that is there will come out. Your tongue becomes very fresh to be able to taste very well. There is more saliva coming out and the digestive process is going to be improved. Even though it is a small, it is the first portion of your digestive system, your mouth, oral cavity. Yes?
Thank you so much. You've really given us so much information in so short a time.
Yeah.
Everyone's been very happy. As I see in the chat, they say superb.
Thank you so much.
No, thank you. We must thank you for giving us your time. And I'm hoping that we can have a weekend seminar at the School of Ancient Wisdom, maybe sometime next year, along with, massages and along with treatment, if that's possible.
Definitely. Yeah.
And, it was really amazing. I love the way you explained. Absolutely amazing. I'm sure a lot of us would want to go to Ayurveda now.
Yes.
I'd like you to put your number on the chat.
Yes,
and now I request Mr. Ramesh to kindly propose a vote of thanks, followed by Loka Samasta.
How do I put this on the chat? I need the tech person. I'm a tech, not so tech savvy. And I'm so used to Zoom. Webex is new to me. Can I just tell it out?
Yes, yes, give us the number. Those who are interested will write it.
Yes, please.
Just
it is
give it.
829 66 829 66 44 507 829 44 507. Yes, I think Mr. Ramesh has put it on the chat.
It's been put on the chat. Good.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you so much. And now I request Ramesh to kindly propose a vote of thanks, followed by Loka Samasta.
Dr. Renuka, it is really my privilege. I'm so happy to even propose the vote of thanks because
a little louder.
Is it more audible now, or is it
a little audible now? Yes.
Okay. Increase the volume. Is it better now?
But go ahead. It doesn't matter. Go ahead.
Okay, I take it that is better. Right. Dr. Renuka, I can't thank you enough. I think I echo the sentiments of everyone here because you've kind of opened up new level of respect and faith in
You're not
Ayurveda.
very audible.
Additionally,
Ramesh.
I think your past
it's like breaking as well as
the voice is breaking, Ramesh.
Yeah, we can't hear him.
I think we lost him.
Billy, you're okay?
Oh, is it?
Your stomach paining? Shall I switch this off? Or you want to watch for another 5 minutes?
I can hear you talking. Please mute yourself. Okay, just say 2 lines and then Loka Samasta. It's not very clear.
Okay, right. Of course, we got a lot of wisdom actually from you today, right from Ayurveda being an evolutionary science, measurement of a life or life force, the 8 angas, and that aging happens right from when you're born. I mean, I never really thought of it like that. And you spoke about the Panchabhutas, and very importantly, that we should be connected to nature because the seasonal variations in our body are directly connected with nature. And you spoke about Dakshinayana, Uttarayana, and that old age medicine is different compared to how it is for others. Now, you also said the best way to deal with aging and old age is to accept it. You spoke about Dinacharya and Britacharya. And also, what was interesting was when you spoke about, during the Bala stage, more kapha, during the Pitta, the middle age, metabolism is at peak, and that's why people like charts. I've seen that kind of a trend in my own preferences as well. And then that in Vata and old age, the fluids in the body dry up. I can definitely see that happening all around in our community. So you treat people with the opposite symptoms. I think the conviction with which you told us all this comes from your experience and your honest practice of this awareness, which really made a difference to our satsang today. Thank you so much, Dr. Renuka. And we'd love to actually, as Sajani said, experience more of your wisdom at the school, perhaps in a proper, face-to-face program. And also, I think I'll try and get this Vagbhatta's Ashtanga Hridayam, which will be useful for all of us. So, on that note, we'd like to also do a Loka Samasta now. So please sit straight with your back, neck, aligned. Let us all connect with each other and with the universe. Let us all send our prayers to those community members around us, divine beings. Let us also heal and uplift as we do our Loka Samasta. Take a deep breath with the back, neck, and head aligned. Let go. Experience the silence within. That true language. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Tat Sat Brahmarpanamastu.
Thank you so much. I'd like to tell everyone that next Thursday we have Meera, one of our satsangis, who will be talking on Hawaiian healing methods, Ho'oponopo. Kindly join in and tell your friends to join in. We have excellent speakers and we would like you to tell people to join, right? And thank you once again, Dr. Renuka. It was a brilliant talk. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good night, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you next Thursday.